Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We are doing something a little different today.
Yeah.
Usually when we talk about big medical topics, we're unpacking a specific study, maybe a new drug trial. We talk about the mechanics, the step A to step B.
Which is usually how medicine works, right? It's supposed to be linear.
Right. But today, we're tackling a subject that is anything but linear. We are talking about fertility.
Oh.
And for anyone who has been through it or is watching a friend go through it, you know that linear is probably the last word you'd ever use.
Oh, absolutely. It's messy, it's emotional, and frankly, it's often just confusing.
It's incredibly overwhelming. You're suddenly expected to be an expert in, endocrinology, statistics, genetics.
All while you're navigating this massive emotional roller coaster.
Exactly. And the default path, well, it usually leads straight to the high-tech stuff. IVF, IUI, heavy-duty hormones. And look, that science is miraculous. We are not here to knock it.
Not at all.
But the stack of research and sources we're diving into today suggests that by focusing only on that high-tech intervention, we might be missing half the picture.
We're missing the context. We're missing the environment in which that intervention is actually happening.
So the mission of today's Deep Dives is to explore a whole-body approach to reproductive wellness. We are breaking down a method designed to cultivate the most supportive biological terrain for conception.
In other words, how do you prep the body so it actually says yes to a pregnancy?
Yes. And the source material we are diving into centers on something called the Berkeley method.
Right. This is an integrative strategy. It's designed to strengthen reproductive health. And what's really interesting is that it's most often used by patients who are already in the thick of it.
In the thick of IVF.
Yeah, IVF.
Yeah.
Or dealing with really thorny diagnoses like endometriosis or PCOS.
Okay, so before we get into the how, and we have 5 specific pillars to unpack, we have to talk about the who. Because, usually we're quoting research scientists or surgeons.
Yeah.
This is different.
It is different.
And I want to make sure we are crystal clear on the credentials here so we know what lens we're looking through.
This is a really critical distinction. The architect behind this method is Mike Berkeley. Now, he's a nationally respected leader in reproductive wellness, but, and this is important, he is not a medical doctor.
Not an MD.
He is not a reproductive endocrinologist in the Western sense.
So what is he then?
Mike Berkeley is a licensed acupuncturist, that's LAC, and a board-certified herbalist. He also holds a credential that really stood out in the research. FABORM.
And that stands for?
It stands for Fellow of the American Board of Oriental Reproductive Medicine. So he is a highly specialized expert, but his expertise is in traditional Chinese medicine and how it interfaces with Western fertility treatments.
I actually think that distinction is the strength of this deep dive.
Oh, so?
If we wanted a surgical perspective, we'd look at the surgeon. But we're asking a different question today. We aren't asking how do we force a pregnancy, we're asking how do we welcome one.
That's it. That's the entire shift. It's the difference between the seed and the soil.
Let's dig into that philosophy. Because the source material starts with a pretty bold thesis. It basically says, IVF is powerful, but it's not a guarantee.
Right.
And the reason it fails often isn't the embryo's fault.
And that is such a hard truth for a lot of patients to face. You can have a technically perfect embryo, genetically tested, high grade, all of it.
Right.
But if you plant that perfect seed in soil that is depleted or inflamed or has poor circulation, the seed can't take root.
So the Berkeley method is essentially a soil renovation project.
That is the perfect analogy. The central argument here is that while Western medicine handles the mechanics of fertilization,
Getting the sperm to the egg.
exactly, but success ultimately depends on the body's overall balance, the terrain.
The sources talked a lot about synergy. There was this quote, "One supportive therapy can be helpful, but when multiple therapies are thoughtfully integrated, they provide the most complete support."
Think about building a house. You can hire the world's best electrician, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you haven't poured the foundation and you haven't framed the walls, the lights just aren't going to turn on. You need the plumbing, the framing, the foundation, and the electrical work all happening in concert.
And the Berkeley method is trying to build that house using 5 specific pillars,
Right. It's a stack.
which are acupuncture, low-level light therapy, herbal medicine, nutrition, and supplements.
Exactly.
Okay, let's break ground on this house. Pillar number 1, acupuncture. Now, I have to play the skeptic for a second.
Go for it.
When most people hear acupuncture, they think of a spa day. They think, I'm stressed, put some needles in me, I'll feel zen. How does that actually help you get pregnant?
That is the most common misconception. And we have to move way beyond Relaxation. I mean, stress relief is a great side benefit, but the mechanism we're really interested in here is hemodynamics.
Hemodynamics, breaking down the physics of blood flow.
Precisely. The research shows that specific acupuncture protocols can physically alter blood flow directly to the ovaries and the uterus. Okay, but why is blood flow the make or break factor here?
Because blood is the delivery system. It is the highway. Your eggs need oxygen, they need nutrients, they need the hormones you're injecting during an IVF cycle to actually reach the follicle. If your circulation is compromised, which can happen from stress, age, you name it, the highway is closed.
So you're injecting thousands of dollars of medication, but if the road is closed, it just never gets to the destination.
Exactly that. You are starving the ovaries of the very resources they need to mature high-quality eggs. Acupuncture acts as a vasodilator. It opens those blood vessels, it reduces resistance, and it just floods the area with resources.
Okay, that makes physical sense. But the sources also mentioned a communication loop.
The HPO axis, so the hypothalamus-pituitary-ovarian axis.
Bless you.
It's a mouthful, but really it's just the telephone line between your brain and your ovaries.
Okay.
Your brain has to tell the ovaries to ovulate. The ovaries have to tell the uterus to build a lining. Acupuncture helps clear the static on that line so the signals get through clearly.
And speaking of the uterus, receptivity. That word came up a lot.
This is huge for implantation. You need the uterine lining to be thick and vascular, just filled with blood vessels so the embryo can latch on.
If it's thin, it has nowhere to go.
Nowhere to go. Acupuncture targets that specific microcirculation to build up that plush, receptive lining.
Now, we kind of dismissed relaxation, but we can't ignore stress completely. Fertility treatments are a nightmare for stress levels.
Oh, they are. And stress isn't just an emotion, it's a physiological state. When you're in fight or flight, your body produces cortisol, and your body thinks you're running from a tiger.
Right.
So it shuts down non-essential systems. And for survival, reproduction is considered non-essential.
So acupuncture just flips the switch.
It forces the nervous system out of fight or flight and into rest and digest, or in this case, breed and feed. It lowers cortisol, which stops your own body from sabotaging your hormones.
Okay, so that's the plumbing and the wiring. Let's move to pillar number 2, which sounds a bit more sci-fi. Low-level light therapy.
This is fascinating stuff. It's also called photobiomodulation.
I'm just going to call it light therapy. But seriously, is this just like shining a flashlight on your stomach? How does light even get inside the body?
It works at the cellular level. To understand this, we have to go back to biology class. Do you remember the mitochondria?
The powerhouse of the cell. I knew that fact would pay off one day.
This is the moment you've been waiting for. Yes, mitochondria are the batteries inside our cells. Now here is the aha moment from the source material. Egg quality is almost entirely dependent on mitochondrial function.
Why the egg specifically?
Because an egg cell is massive compared to other cells, and it requires a staggering amount of energy to mature, to fertilize, and to drive those first few days of embryo development. It needs more ATP cellular energy than almost anything else.
So if the mitochondria are tired...
The egg is tired, it just doesn't have the fuel to cross the finish line. This is often what's really happening in what we call age-related infertility.
It's mitochondrial dysfunction.
Yeah.
The battery is just dead.
The battery is dead. And light therapy is the jumper cables.
Ah, I like that.
Essentially, yes. The specific wavelengths of light used in this therapy penetrate the tissue and they stimulate that mitochondrial activity. It enhances ATP production. You are literally charging the battery of the egg.
And the sources also mentioned inflammation with this.
Right. Inflammation is the enemy of fertility. It creates a hostile, hot environment. Light therapy helps reduce cellular stress and localized inflammation. So you're charging the battery and cooling down the engine at the same time.
That is a really cool combination.
Okay.
Moving on. Pillar number 3, customized herbal medicine. Now, this is where I feel like people get skeptical.
Or they go rogue.
Yes, they think, I'll just buy some fertility tea off Amazon.
And the sources are very, very clear on this. Do not do that.
Why not? What's the risk?
The risk is that herbs are active medicine. They're potent. If you take the wrong thing, you can really mess up your hormones. The key word in the Berkeley method is customized. This isn't a generic product. It's a prescription based on your unique physiology.
Okay, give me an example of how that works. Let's say endometriosis versus PCOS.
Great examples. So endometriosis is a condition defined by inflammation. Tissue is growing where it shouldn't. It's a hot condition. The herbs used there are strongly anti-inflammatory, designed to cool the pelvis down.
And PCOS.
PCOS is often about stagnation. Cysts are forming, ovulation isn't happening. The herbs there are used to regulate the rhythm, to encourage the body to ovulate consistently. You'd never give the same formula to both patients.
And they didn't leave the guys out either, which is so important.
So important. Male factor infertility is, what, 40 to 50% of all cases? Herbs can be incredibly effective at improving sperm motility, how well they swim, and their morphology, which is their shape.
So here's the big question I had reading this. If I'm doing IVF, my doctor has me on this strict regimen of drugs. Won't these herbs interfere?
That is the #1 question, and it's why seeing a specialist like Mike Berkeley, who is FABORM certified, is non-negotiable. The sources emphasize that these herbs are designed to work synergistically with IVF.
So they aren't fighting the drugs?
No, they're preparing the body to respond better to them. For example, you might stop certain blood-moving herbs right before an egg retrieval to ensure safety. It's a coordinated dance. The herbs focus on egg quality and uterine lining, the two things IVF drugs can't really control.
Got it. So it's complementary, not competitive.
Exactly.
All right, pillar 4. This one feels a bit more familiar. Nutrition. But I feel like I've heard it all. Eat pineapple core, go keto, go vegan. What's the actual strategy here?
The strategy is stability. It's not about a fad diet. It is all about blood sugar control.
Why is blood sugar the headline for fertility? I thought that was more of a diabetes thing.
It's a hormone thing. Blood sugar stability equals hormone stability. If your blood sugar is spiking and crashing all day from processed carbs, your insulin is spiking. And insulin is a bully.
A bully.
It is. When insulin is high, it knocks other hormones around, it disrupts ovulation, it can increase testosterone in women, it just creates chaos in the reproductive system.
So the diet isn't just about losing weight. It's about creating chemical peace.
Precisely. You are trying to create a calm hormonal sea. And beyond that, it's just about materials. We talked about building a house.
Right.
Food provides the lumber. You are literally trying to build a new human being. The food provides the proteins and fats you need to build healthy eggs and healthy sperm.
There was also a term used here, oxidative stress. We hear that a lot. What does it actually mean for my eggs?
Think of oxidative stress as biological rusting. It damages cells and their DNA. An egg that's been exposed to high oxidative stress is like a rusty car part. It just doesn't work right.
And a diet rich in antioxidants is the rust proofing.
That's it. Which leads us perfectly into the final pillar, number 5, targeted supplements.
Right, and targeted is the operative word again. We aren't just throwing a generic prenatal at the problem and hoping for the best.
Exactly.
So how is this different from just eating well? Can't I just eat enough blueberries?
Food is always the foundation. But sometimes you need a therapeutic dose of something that you simply can't get from food alone. CoQ10 is a great example.
Right, I see that everywhere now.
It's critical for that mitochondrial energy we talked about. But to get the amount you'd need to really rejuvenate an older egg, you'd have to eat an impossible amount of, organ meats.
Okay, fair enough.
So supplements bridge that gap between nutrition and medicine.
And again, I'm guessing the safety issue comes up here.
Always. Supplements are active compounds. Some thin the blood, some affect hormones. In the Berkeley method, the supplements are so carefully coordinated with the herbal medicine and the medical fertility treatments. You have to know that what you're taking isn't going to interact negatively with your anesthesia or your trigger shot.
So we have these 5 pillars: acupuncture, light therapy, herbs, nutrition, and supplements. It feels like a lot.
It is a lot, but the real power is in the synthesis.
Okay, let's connect the dots for everyone. How do these 5 things actually work together in a real person's body?
Okay, so picture the ecosystem. You have acupuncture and the light therapy. They're handling the flow and the energy. They're opening the highways and charging the batteries.
Right.
Then you have the herbs. They are doing the heavy lifting on regulation and inflammation. They're calming the fire of endometriosis or regulating the rhythm of PCOS.
And then nutrition and supplements.
They provide the materials. They are the actual cargo on the trucks that are now driving on those open highways.
I see the loop now.
It's a closed loop of support. The improved blood flow from acupuncture delivers the nutrients from the diet. The increased cellular energy from the light therapy makes the tissues more responsive to the hormones being regulated by the herbs.
And if you miss one part, the whole system just lags.
Exactly. If you have great nutrition but poor blood flow, the nutrients never get to the ovary. If you have great blood flow but your eggs have no energy, they don't mature properly, you need the whole orchestra playing together.
You know, there's something psychologically different about this approach, too. When you're doing IVF, you're a patient. You're being done to, and you lie there, they inject you, they scan you. It's so passive.
And that passivity can breed anxiety. You feel like your body is failing you or that you're just a number.
This approach feels active.
It's incredibly empowering. It gives the patient agency. You are actively cultivating your own health. You're waking up every day and doing these things, eating the right food, taking the herbs that directly impact your outcome. It addresses the emotional demands by treating the whole person, not just a set of organs.
That word cultivating really sticks with me. It changes the mindset from fixing a broken machine to tending a garden.
And that is often the shift that makes all the difference.
So let's wrap this up. We've gone through a lot of complex information here. If we had to boil this down for our listener, what is the main takeaway?
The main takeaway is that reproductive wellness isn't just about the reproductive organs in isolation. It's not just about the uterus and the ovaries. It is about circulation. It is about cellular energy. It is about inflammation. And it's about nutrition. It's about the entire biological terrain.
And to navigate that terrain, you need a guide who really understands that whole map.
Right. And that brings us back to Mike Berkeley. This method really relies on his specific expertise as a licensed acupuncturist and board-certified herbalist, that FABORM credential. He's someone who has spent decades bridging that gap, helping patients integrate these ancient tools with modern science.
I want to leave everyone with a final thought that came to me while we were talking about the soil and seed analogy. We often think of medicine as a battle. We're fighting infertility.
Right.
But this method challenges us to think differently. It asks us to consider the difference between fighting a condition and cultivating an environment. If you change the soil, how does that change the harvest? What happens when you start fighting your body and you start actively supporting it?
That is a profound shift. And honestly, it's a question worth asking for any health journey, not just fertility.
Absolutely. Now, for anyone listening who wants to explore that question further or who feels like they need to start cultivating that environment, you can reach out to the Berkeley Center directly.
It's definitely worth a conversation.
We'll put the info in the show notes, but for everyone listening, that's 212-685-0985, or you can find them at www.berkeleycenter.com.
Knowledge is the first step to taking back control.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for diving in with us today.
Take care.